How can a woman never think that the man who sells pancakes with her is a bully with a billionaire's worth? She and her father started from nothing to make Peyton Group low in the real estate industry as the sole heir. Countless daughters have hidden feelings for her, but few people have seen her real face. How can she not think? The story of the tyrant president falling in love with Cinderella will happen to himself. Annie sent leaflets everywhere with his friends in order to protect the park that had accompanied him for 20 years from being demolished by the Peyton Group. Today, Annie boldly sneaks into the parking lot of the Peyton Group. The security staff immediately found out that they rushed forward to pursue Annie and cleverly hid behind a luxury car. But who wants Annie to think of Carl as the car-moving boy? Heiming Dynasty secretly said that Carl should not work here. Looking at the woman with a righteous look, Carl was interested in them in an instant. I like the girl's home. We can watch the strange behavior of the young master. Laughing and introducing each other in order to stay with Annie, Carl said that he had just been fired, but Annie immediately offered to work with him. The storefront is behind the RV. Carl, shocked with a face of curiosity to sit on the car stopped in the park side, slowly opened to reveal the real face. What happened when Annie said that he was hungry and Carl immediately said that he wanted to give him a hand, and the man who was focused was really handsome and Annie couldn't help but smile when it was just a simple toast to swallow. A man with a mouth full of unusual delicious is Mastful, 73 years old. Annie shyly asked if he could do more help. Carl nodded his head. He couldn't help smiling. Carl said that he should think about staying to work when he had just met but was reluctant to part. Carl returned to the grand villa excited to share the joy with his brother. Our brother was shocked to live so long. This is the first time that a brother has been so sad to a woman. He smells dog food and Annie thinks she's just met Carl, but the next day she goes to work and Carl's already helping out in the store. Shine you really kick no I misery I am mspy like a friend e may beko pit. E Hartman's art baby Anne felt so wonderful going to work for the first time. She was such a meticulous man. Even the kitchen where he brought in himself, and he even said he could design an app for the store to make the owner laugh. It was like they'd worked together for years and he could always guess what Annie was thinking. Good cooperation also got the praise of the boss. Anne said to take advantage of the lunch break to collect against the demolition of the park petition kilometers. Carl immediately said to go together with the noble and elegant temperament in her warm and kind appearance. Everyone is willing to cooperate with her work. But her rhythm is disrupted by the arrival of a woman who is one of Carl's many suitors. When he asks what he is doing, Carl lies and says he is researching the group's next billion-dollar project. This year's research and development of 30,000 D. No one got the right peripheral sweep to Annie. Slowly close to Carl, quickly let Jessie leave, but Anne still have jealousy. So hard people are students because they are accompanied by individual A670 is. Then who see that it is not to play together to listen to the words is that there is temperature skin is one day not I am a good person to take. The two men walk through the light dwindle woods and tell each other about their experiences. They stop at a stone monument. It turns out that Carl's grandfather built the park himself, and Annie said that the original intention of the park was to benefit the people in the neighborhood, but now his descendants have forgotten the purpose of the great fortune. Unexpectedly, to dismantle him, Carl deeply looked at the back kiss in front of the Heart complex unceasingly. After returning home, Carl and father cannot dismantle the parked car, took his father's words to heart and actively asked his brother how to pursue girls. But his father secretly found the food truck where he worked and asked him if he was so corrupt because of the woman named Annie. Welkometh der Willen in the self is not Getalobits Karakov Pap for P. He knew his father's temper well enough to speak quickly in order to keep the two of them from getting into a fight, so he knew to hurry. To pull have not told father deeply see Carl also silently turned away. Health Carl actually dare to group boss better make and more appreciation of him. In their spare time, they went to hand out leaflets calling for the protection of the park and donated what they could not sell every day, but this behavior aroused the dissatisfaction of the boss. Carl quickly took all the responsibility on himself and said that Anne had nothing to do with the result, was deducted a month's salary. Anne was very guilty about it. Said to invite Carl to dinner tonight. This is the first time the two of them such a formal dinner together. Carl is very important. In order not to reveal his identity, he specially asked his brother to get a broken car and then show up at Annie's door before dark when it is only a few hours. But two people seem to be separated for a long time. He personally opened the door for him and then confidently said that two people eat very happy. It was followed by a round of golf, and Annie seemed so talented that she cleared the hole and laughed her way into Carl's arms, and the atmosphere was a little bit delicate and the smell of love was in the air just before the next round. Cell phone ringing suddenly. Petition output error. He must go back to deal with Carl hurriedly and kindly send him back. But the next day, Annie was still unhappy and he said he was worried about his exams, but Carl said he could help with that kind of thing. He took a glance at the book, quickly sorted out the key points, and then patiently questioned and explained Annie as a difficult knowledge was overcome. Annie finally had a big smile on her face as they spent the whole afternoon in the dining car revising, and the almighty Carl was literally shining in Annie's eyes with each passing day. Carl finds himself completely in love with this girl and she wants to tell her everything, but she's scared, and you know you are the one she hates the most. The future heir to the Peyton Corporation would turn his anger on him after much hesitation, but Carl decided to have a good talk with his father and beg him not to tear down the park. Seeing that the suitor Jesse was there, Carl had a better idea. He called Jesse to the balcony and proposed a business deal. He wants to move the project that was supposed to be built on the park to the land that Jesse's family has contracted, which is actually a better location than the park. How Jesse Static said she is also have this idea. Carl, long sigh of relief, agreed. The next day in the hotel, details of cooperation. Two people are shaking hands to celebrate the success of cooperation when Ann Static accidentally walked in and looked at two people wearing high-end clothing. Close conversation. Ann heart jealous. Carl finally found his existence, quickly scared to loosen his hand. Fortunately Jesse is not bad. Initiative, said Just and Carl in talking business under Ann, more confused. A little waitress had a business that was so scary that Carl had to tell the truth. The tiger doesn't love you as much as the naive go for Ilo East book. No, God, I don't, my last EM. When White heard the Peyton scene, Annie was so upset that Carl couldn't explain it to her because she thought he was playing him. Angry turned to leave. Carl quickly chased out, but he has been in the car to leave Anne out of mind to return home. Heavy door closed. Carl made countless phone calls, but how also cannot get through. The father watched his son sink into the love field all day and rolled his eyes a little helplessly when he heard that he was still talking to his brother about the fact of the park. Finally cannot help but open the mouth. Is the important package in the park? I wait for that, nothing to change out, especially lost cattle. I'm sorry, the man has been in your bubble. Zero by something wrong at any time. Do not want us to change what Carl said to take father to see something. Two people together came to the inscription before looking at the above. Weathered. His father finally remembered the father's life's exhortation and teaching: business cannot forget. Only by always thinking about the people can it be supported by the people so that it will endure. Father gave up the idea of demolishing the park. For the first time, the two of them sat together calmly and talked about the truth. It was the first time that Moskal, who had always been loved, had felt his father's tenderness and realized that the man before him had aged so much without realizing it. He said that he will run the company well in the future, will never let him down. Father pleased to look at the son of the original happy object. Eyes again with light. He said that the girl he saw in the park is actually very good. And the personality of Carl's mother when she was young is worth Carl's striving for, while his brother can't bear to let Carl suffer anymore. Finding Annie in person shows Carl's sincerity to him and that he is begging his father to keep the park from being demolished. Yet, you can be embarrassed because it's all fast in there, and look at the blonde hair. I heard you secreting yes goyore, and you found him quickly. Two people get back together and often finally accept each other without scruples and live a happy life without shame. 100 years of practice with the transmission of 1,000 years of practice to sleep together. Every pass is a fate, but whether you can meet and love depends on how much you are determined to love. To love someone is to do whatever he wants to do regardless of everything. Every true love is worth to be cherished and waiting for. Alright, here is for better life. Subscribe to us for more. Lock it up. Thank you.